Peter Schrager. I love Schrager, by the way. One of my favorite guys in media. Came out with his latest mock draft, which surprisingly had Detroit Lions taking Jalen Carter. And I say surprisingly not because I'm going to sit here and scold the idea of them taking Jalen Carter. I just really don't believe he's on their board. And they'll do their due diligence. That's a tongue twister.
Yeah.
They'll do their due diligence. They'll do all their top 30 visits. They'll wrap everything up, and that's great and all. But what Brett Holmes and Dan Campbell have told me for 2 years now, it goes against it. Now, that doesn't mean they won't take a chance, because the talent is what it is. I think everybody can admit what you've seen on tape, outside of the taking plays off, which isn't ideal, but hey, you look past it, dude's a physical specimen. All the talent in the world. But to me, it's just not a Dan Campbell player. Aiden Hutchinson, a Dan Campbell player. But we'll get to Peter. He starts off with Bryce Young, number 1 overall. Indianapolis, in Peter Schrager's mock, moves up to 2 to secure C.J. Stroud. Arizona at 3 take the first defensive player off the board. No, not Tyree Wilson. Will Anderson, and I believe rightfully so. Houston at 4 makes the decision to take the second best edge rusher off the board, which would be Tyree Wilson. At 5, Seattle. This is such a weird pick for me. You just paid Geno, and the idea of drafting Anthony Richardson like he has them, I get it. They got 2 picks in the top 20, but really? Like, to me, there's no better coach with young talent in the NFL than Jeff, God damn it, Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll, exceptional with the young players. Look back at his days with the Legion of Boom. They were all young. Russell Wilson was a baby. It all worked. Why? They were young. They got older. Everybody stopped getting along. Players would leave the field flicking off Pete. Start losing more games. Pete's the ultimate recruiter. He was hyper successful in college for a reason, guys. He was unbelievable. For a reason. To me, Jalen Carter at 5 seems like a match made in heaven for Seattle. It's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. But I think Pete would work wonders. Not to say Dan or anybody else couldn't. But if there's anybody more proven in the NFL, it's Pete Carroll. That's for damn sure. And to take a quarterback for Seattle? I get it. You got 2 picks in the top 20. But hey, you get Jalen Carter to improve that defense and you make it work with him? I think Anthony Richardson will be available by 14, 15 if you want to move up. My 2 cents on Seattle, but hey, they take Anthony Richardson in this mock. And of course, the elite player who has off-field and character questions could be a red flag for a lot of teams, obviously. But the idea to Schrager, right? I'm reading what he believes. The idea for Peter Schrager is you're pairing Aiden Hutchinson with Jalen Carter.
What I will say is that when he was talking about this on Good Morning Football yesterday, he said that this is not his hopes and wishes and what he would do. This is what he put together based off of all the information that he has. And this is his first one that he'll do. So he does one week out, and then he'll complete another one 24 hours before with updated information.
Jalen Carter at 6 to the Lions, to me, is not unacceptable. It's not what I would do. It's not what I would want, but it's not about what I want. That's not even what the show is about. It's not about what I want. Last year was very aggressive what I want, right? Draft the cocaine. We all got into very friendly arguments. It was absolutely no to Malik Willis. Absolutely no to Kyle Hamilton at 2. You guys all know how I felt. This year, even with Jalen Carter, for me, off my board. It's my opinion. And if the Lions take him, I'm not going to sit here and cry about it. Because he is arguably one of the 2 most talented players coming out of the draft. That's not the problem, though. And you guys know where I land with all of that, so I'm not going to continue on.
What I will say is that you just went on for the first 15 minutes of the show on the character of Jared Goff and his journey in getting here. And then you look at this option, and you're not going to be able to do the same.
That's how I am. You know, if I was in a position as a general manager, I don't want to have to doubt why I pick you. I don't want to have to question what you're going to be doing throughout the week when you're not at the facility. I don't want to have to question your commitment to the game, to your body. Like, we live in a time now where it is very easy to be out of shape. It is very easy to really harm your body, given, yeah, we have access to all the higher end healthy stuff, but everything else is pretty accessible. It's very easy to put the wrong stuff in your body. And to me, it takes a lot of commitment.
But in the position that he's in, with the amount of resources that are at his fingertips,
you think so?
You would think that he would make the right
decisions. Of course. And I won't knock anybody for saying that's why we're going to take Jalen Carter. We're going to put him around some of the best nutritionists. We're going to get him on a weight program that'll make sure he's not only maintaining weight, but, man, he's stronger than ever. We're going to get this. Okay, great. I hope it works. But I'm not going to be in love because I'm always going to be thinking, what if? And I don't like that. The Raiders go offensive lineman Peter Skronsky. I don't mind it. I actually like it, to be honest with you. Atlanta, stay put, draft Nolan Smith, who you could argue is this year's Trayvon Walker, or maybe you want to give that nod to Tyree Wilson. Be my guess. I don't really care. But Nolan Smith, a ton of talent. Atlanta taking him at 8. Christian Gonzalez going to Chicago at 9. I'm shocked by that one, Peter. I would have thought an offensive lineman, but okay, I can get behind a cornerback, no problem at all. Philly draft Bijan Robinson. I know Jeff would absolutely love this. Philly drafting Bijan Robinson is exactly what Jeff would want. Tennessee at 11. My God, you guys aren't ready for this. Tennessee at 11. Take Hendon Hooker out of Tennessee.
What the hell?
Before Will Levis, before any of these guys, Tanner McKee, Hendon Hooker at 11. I find that astonishing. I do. Houston at 12. Take Will Levis. That makes sense to me. Look, I know we give Davis Mills a ton of shit, and I know he's not the best quarterback, and I know he's probably not your cup of tea. But you compare Davis Mills' career and Justin Fields side by side, Davis Mills has been a better quarterback than a lot of quarterbacks since he's been in the league. I'm not saying he's my ideal situation, but if I'm DeMeco Ryans and I'm the general manager in Houston, look, are we really going to compete for this division year one? We need a talent overhaul. Go grab Will Anderson. Let's grab Jackson Smith and Jimba at 12. Let's get a wide receiver for the future. And you know what, damn it? Next year, we'll go for our quarterback. And we'll give Davis Mills a weapon. We'll be competent on offense. Our defense will be a lot better with DeMeco Ryans, and we just added Will Anderson. Derek Stingley hopefully has a healthy season next year. That would be my mindset, but in this situation, they went with Will Levis. The Jets go offensive lineman. The Patriots go Devon Witherspoon. Jackson Smith and Jimba goes to the Packers, which is hilarious to me. Now that Aaron Rodgers has gone, they're suddenly going to start drafting wide receivers. Way to go, Green Bay. Solid strategy here. At 16, Dalton Kincaid to Washington. At 17, Paris Johnson, an offensive lineman, to Pittsburgh, which leaves Joey Porter Jr. still on the board for the Detroit Lions to snag up. Yes, the Lions have loaded up in the secondary in the offseason, but Mosley's on a one-year deal. Gardner Johnson on a one-year deal. Gardner Johnson likely going to get a massive contract if he performs what you expect him to this year. The Lions could afford him. They could. And if they afford him, they'll probably let go of Mosley, but I think it's important still to consider drafting a corner. I like the idea of Joey Porter at 18. It's a very good pick. Tough guy mentality. Father played in the NFL, knows exactly what it takes. I'm all about it. And then we'll wrap up with some of the surprises later on in the first round. We talked about Brian Branch being one of the better secondary players, especially the best safety. He falls all the way to 24. He falls to 24. Zay Flowers, who has been impressing all the scouts with his route running, goes to the Giants at 25, which I actually think is a very good move for them. The Dallas Cowboys draft Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm not sure if I buy into that. Darnell Washington makes an appearance late in the first round going to Cincinnati, which I don't really agree with. If I'm Cincinnati in that situation, there's secondary players available. There's edge rushers still available. Miles Murphy only went a pick before. If I'm Cincinnati, I'm looking to keep my defense fresh, young. I just lost Jesse Bates. If I'm Cincinnati, hell, and Brian Branch is there at 23-24, I'm moving up. So we'll see. Overall, Peter Schrager's first mock, I like it. 31 teams picked. I was shocked by the Levis at 12 and Hendon Hooker at 11, but I can live with it. Overall, I like it for the Detroit Lions. You guys know how I feel about Jalen Carter. I'm not going to sit here and repeat myself. But if that is the draft board, and I'm honest, which I like to think I am almost every day with you guys, if I'm honest, I have to show up on that Friday morning and say, that's a good haul. If they walk away with Jalen Carter and Joey Porter Jr., I have to be honest, walk in here on Friday and say, it's a good haul. Do I have my concerns about Jalen Carter? Yes, I do. Am I not the most optimistic about how he's going to move forward in his career? Yeah, I'm not. But I'm not going to deny the talent he is. I'm not going to deny that I love the idea of taking a corner in the first round, especially at 18 and not at 6. I can get with it. JB, what do you think?
It's not bad. As you said, this goes before the draft as well, too. You have to come in Thursday knowing that you're willing to accept what comes with drafting Jalen Carter at 6. Whether that's character issues on the off the field issues that you're going to have to deal with, with the media and everything like that. You just have to be sure that you've done your due diligence. You went through everything with him. You know all his issues. And when he gets to Detroit, you just have to be sure that you can have comfort in knowing that he will not mess up again, that he's learned from his mistakes.
One of the funny things to me is how these quarterbacks shoot up the boards. And we forget Hendon Hooker in late October, early November, was the best quarterback in college football. Undefeated Tennessee. He was trending really to be a top 5 pick easily. And nobody would have questioned him. But he tore his ACL. But GMs, I promise you at the time, were thinking, that's a top 5 pick this year. He's got the arm strength. He's got the talent. He's got the mobility. He's got everything we want in a quarterback, right? Hendon Hooker going at 11? Yeah, I know he's not projected in most of Nationals mock drafts, outside of Tannenbaum at 5, had him at 5, I believe, and now Schrager has him at 11. To me, that's not really shocking. If somebody is sitting there saying, you know what, let's all be real. If he doesn't tear his ACL, he's not even available to us at 11. We don't have to trade up because we know he's likely going to be there. And then you have players like Anthony Richardson who aren't even on draft boards, and then they suddenly shoot up into the top 5, which make no sense to me. Just like Malik Willis did, just like Zach Wilson did. We all know how that's turned.